Hey everybody, I'm sure you guys have taken your notes. I did want to show some illustrations that I added to mine so that we have some things to go along with our definitions. Miss Harkins and Miss Pollock and I all assume that you learned warm and cool colors when you were in your previous school and your previous art classes. But we don't expect everybody to already know about monochromatic, complementary, and analogous. So those three color schemes are the ones that we are going to ask that you show us and show us that you understand completely. So with monochromatic, it's one color. So in this case, I chose the hue of red. And using my pencil, I'm creating some tints on one side, and my black pencil, I'm creating some shades on the other. With complementary, we're dealing with a pair of opposite colors. So I have red and I have green. And those things are going to work together in order to create our lovely blend. There's some tints over here, some shades here. Analogous is one of my favorite because it's a neighbor color. So in little circles, I went and did yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, and a cyan. And then I used white at the bottom and sort of went through them all. And then I put a little black at the top. And I'm going to go back over and I'm going to just one more time go over with white. White being a lighter color in color pencils, it's going to act as a blending tool. So we get some tints and we get some shades, we get some grays, and we get some good division of those colors. At the bottom of the page, we are going to work with the concept of working and building our design that goes with the non-objective design. Now, last week you guys worked on your relief tile and you used a string to divide your shape into different colors. But this week we are going to be working with the whole idea of the of our initials to help get a non-objective design. See, I've lost my red colored pencil, so I think I am going to have to get another one, but that's okay. All right, so let's get started. So you're gonna take your pencil and the project sheet that I have, I've used my initials. My initials are J and C. And so I can use those initials to break up my square space. So when I start with a square, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my J in here. And then I'm gonna bring my C and I'm gonna go all the way through. So I've got a J and a C and they overlap. I only need like 5 to 6 spaces, but I have more than that. So I'm gonna erase a few of the smaller zones so I end up with some bigger areas. So in this case, I think I'll erase this line. And let's see, I think that I will erase this line. So that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas, because we're going to say this J comes all the way down to the bottom. And then I will repeat that design, choosing different lines each time to erase so that I have primarily the same non-objective design. It's based on the same 2 initials, but they might be slightly different. So I might tilt it differently. Like I may come in here and do my J this way and my C that way. And now I've got to figure out what shapes do I want to make big, what shapes do I want to make small. So I think I'm going to take this little tiny line out there. I think I'm going to make, let's see, I think I'll make this whole one large shape down here at the bottom. So I end up with a nice arc here and an arc there. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. And then over here, I can go in with the J one more time. Maybe I make it with more curves than typical, and maybe I make my C go off the top this time. And that'll allow me to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. So I really only need to erase one line. And I think I'm gonna come in and erase this one. And that gives me one big, large, dominant shape. So that'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shapes. So that's the first part, is learning how to design a non-objective design using your initials. You're going to want to set this up on your color schemes page just like I have, and you're going to be able to show me your monochromatic, complementary, and analogous. I think in the directions I say to measure them out to be 3-inch squares. You could trace the outline of a Post-it note. In my case, I just drew them, and I think they're closer to 2-inch squares. I didn't measure them, but as long as I've got a very good example of each one, then we're good to go. You might wonder why we have to have at least between 5 and 6 different areas. That's because we're going to aim for creating 5 or 6 different things. So I'm going to go ahead and put my numbers down here. So if your number 1 is the pure hue. So for example, if I'm doing monochromatic and I want to do monochromatic in red, so that would be great. I can put that up there. So my pure hue, number 1, that shape is going to be red. And then I want to make sure I have a tint. I want to make sure that I have a shade. I want to make sure that I can create a neutral. I want to include not quite white. And I want to make sure that I include an almost black. These are the exact same things that we did when we did our color wheel. It's just that now we're going to use color pencils or crayons in order to show that with color schemes. So it's a review of that color theory knowledge that we went over before. So go ahead and get yourself set up and go ahead and make some decisions about what hues you want to use. So monochromatic means one color. So my hue that I'm going to focus on here is just red. Complementary is a pair of opposite colors. I'm going to also work with magenta or red and green. And then for my analogous, I'm going to focus on the same colors that I used up here. So that I'm going to abbreviate those. So that would be yellow, yellow-green, green, blue-green, and cyan. Okay, so that's a really good, if you write them at the top, then I know that you've selected a group that you know fits the definition, you've labeled it with its particular title, and now you're going to go in and work on giving me an example using your non-objective design created with your initials.